the major political turmoil in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina, after fleeing from Dhaka, is staying in India's national capital. As per our sources, the C-130J transport of the Bangladesh Air Force, which took off from Hindon Air Base in the morning today around 9 a.m., is flying with 7 military personnel on board towards its base in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina is not travelling in this aircraft as per the confirmed sources. Now, meanwhile, India is closely waiting and watching and monitoring the situation that's unfolding in the neighbouring country. The government had an all-party meeting to discuss the crisis, and as per our sources, Union External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar briefed the leaders about the impact of the crisis in India. He discussed about the possible strategy of India if any other country intervenes in this matter. India is also focused to evacuate the Indian students who are currently in Bangladesh. India has successfully evacuated 8,000 students so far from the Bangladesh. Now, Indian government is in touch with the Bangladesh army, who is currently forming an interim government right now, and the Indian government has also asked its army to remain on alert mode. The government is working on a plan to keep everyone safe while ensuring also providing safety to the former Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. All eyes, meanwhile, are on the interim government formation in Bangladesh, which is right now rattled. Whereas coordinators of the recent student protest in Bangladesh have proposed the formation of a new interim government with Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus as his chief advisor. Now, viewers, joining me on the broadcast are my two guests presently, where Group Captain retired Dr. D.K. Pandey and Major General Sudhakar G, who joins me on the broadcast to discuss more into the lines of what's unfolding currently at the soil of Bangladesh, while former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina makes an exit towards India. I'll begin with Group Captain Dr. D.K. Pandey first, who has been in the Indian force as well. Now, sir, Mr. Sudhakar, Mr. Pandey, I beg your pardon, I believe the way in which India acted to provide a safe haven for Sheikh Hasina has been lauded as a very good step in the right direction, being a close friend of Bangladesh so far. But in your opinion, would extending stay for Sheikh Hasina, as she hasn't left for UK as per reports now, would mean a good message, or would only likely to add more fire to this entire trouble that is seen as being very unprecedented for Bangladesh itself?
The basic problem is the equation, which is the geopolitical equation, which is prevailing in Southeast Asia and Indian subcontinent, is very, very funny, because one side Pakistan is having a lot of issues and China is having issues, and now Bangladesh, although the problem started last year in the month of December or so, and subsequently it was extended, and we all know we are getting a lot of inputs that external agencies are very, very active in getting things out of track. Whatever people say, the Sheikh Hasina's tenure of about 16 years plus is really commendable, because not a single person could achieve in that so odd environment. Number two, especially if we continue to, if she decides to continue with us, I don't think present Indian environment, what Bharat has got image now, 10 years back, things would have been different. But now we are taking decisions on merits. Nobody is dictating terms. Now, based on our own requirements and our own strategic values, we are deciding what to do. So, in all conditions, if she stays in India, I don't think much dent will come as far as approach is concerned. But the problem is, internal elements may behave in different way. The important aspect is the all-party meeting, which was held about 12 o'clock today, and about 11 o'clock or so. And the Minister of External Affairs, he explained all the pros and cons of all the aspects, and it was attended by most of the parties. So that is a very good sign in a mature democracy how things should be done. Now, the biggest surprising element, I'll take 10 seconds more. The biggest surprising element is, if Prime Minister Hasina was not liked by people and she had left, then why it is turmoil is still continuing in Bangladesh? It should have been stopped yesterday itself when she left the country. So this is there. It means agenda is something else. Players are different and their objectives are different. Last point I will add here that basically the problem started when Prime Minister Hasina, former Prime Minister Hasina, has gone to China and she was looking for some 5 billion loan and she was denied. And basically, from about a year or so, Bangladesh is having a lot of issues as far as their financial concerned. Their foreign exchange dropped to some 10 billion or so, and then IMF gave some loan, and in the minimum, what we call as the net international reserve, what decided about the 27 or so billion dollars, which dropped to 17.20, and that's why she has gone to pick up the loan so that her country's economy can be stable. So keeping all these factors in mind and the way things have developed, I think vested interest of few elements, it is playing a role and it is creating havoc. And it should stop as early possible. Otherwise, democracy will keep on running away from the country.
All right, Captain Pandey, that was your perspective where, you are stressing over the need, how it should go forward right now. I'll also take a word from Sudhakar ji quickly before we move further. I believe, what do you understand, Mr. Sudhakar, about financially and economically this entire departure of Sheikh Hasina meaning for India?
Simran, am I right, anchor?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. I think we have spoken enough in the previous session. So, good question. Let me clarify once again. India also has got contingency plannings with regard to the immediate neighborhood, strategic neighborhood, and extended neighborhood. Should there be a criticality of this nature, there is a response mechanism. I suppose, since I have dealt with the subject, there is a kind of methodology in place. So we'll not go into that. Basically, I'm trying to say there is a deeper conspiracy at a very high global level. And that conspiracy is to keep India under check. Like Group Captain DK has very correctly highlighted that if this was so, then the unrest and the agitation should have stopped yesterday. Why hasn't it stopped? So that means there is a deeper meaning. What is that deeper meaning? Deeper meaning, as I understand, I keep showing through NewsX, there is a book written by The Great Game in Northeast, by the Swedish author, and they have beautifully covered that this particular issue or the situation is not a enigma, not a contemporary enigma. This enigma had started way before PRC came into existence in 1949. So what I'm trying to bring out? I'm trying to bring out that it is not only other forces transatlantic who are interested to destabilize India and also keep India under check from a kind of the growth rate of leaps and bounds. There is China. There is a bigger elephant in the room which is trying to debar or deny successful implementation of Act East policy by India. Why? Why is it stopping Act East policy by India? Because the road connectivity between India, Myanmar, and going up to Thailand, Bangkok, and beyond to Southeast Asia is going to enable a cheaper movement of products and goods and services to Southeast Asia. As on today, China has got a trade surplus against all the countries in Southeast Asia, whereas India has got trade deficit of 56 billion. Out of 86 odd billion, 56 billion is against us. So what does it mean? That if we want to become a rising power or a global power by 2047, then it is China is not going to allow us to go into the Southeast Asia, because by doing so, it will be denying its penetration, which it has achieved after US and its like-minded forces had withdrawn way back in 91 and post 91. So therefore, what does it mean? It means that the safe and secure sea lanes of communication, basically for the energy security, with the help of which China is able to maintain a certain degree of economic development, it will be subjected to lots of vulnerabilities. This will be addressed only.
All right, Major General Sudhakarji, I will request you to kindly stay on with us for a minute while we also have a very important voice joining us at the moment, which is Tom Heinemann, an investigative journalist who made the documentary The Micro Debt on Mohammed Yunus. He found out how Yunus cheated the Bangladeshi taxpayers and siphoned off $100 million through the US-based Grameen Bank. Let's go straight across to him. Tom Heinemann, we appreciate you joining us on the broadcast right now. And we appreciate your valuable inputs as well. While you also join us on the documentary and the kind of investigative work that you have done, I'll straight go to you and ask you about the evidence of tax evasion that you could collect against Mohammed Yunus through your investigative reports and through your findings. Tom.
I can't hear anything.
All right, Tom.
Is there somebody who can help here? Technical?
All right, Tom. I believe we are trying to restore and work on the connection. If you can hear me properly at this moment. Can you, I believe we have restored the connection. If I'm audible to you, Tom. All right, Tom, we need to get a word from you if you are there with us on the broadcast. Kindly respond if you can hear me, because I'm trying to restore the connection with you on the line and working on the technical glitch. All right, Tom. All right, we'll try to get and fix the connection with Tom as soon as he can get us back on the broadcast while we go back to resuming our discussion with our two esteemed panelists on the broadcast right now. As Sudhakar, Major General Sudhakar ji was explaining about how the interference of US was also the reason, and what he said on the US's statement after it came the exit of Sheikh Hasina. Sudhakar ji, over to you.
I was talking about the China. China does not want India to be successful in its Act East policy. And in order to render it ineffective, this is one of the methods. You know, the Manipur is burning. So is the case with Myanmar. Thailand is no good. And now Bangladesh has started. So the entire approach of India is gone for a six. Okay. At least for the time being. What will happen tomorrow, one can't say. Secondly, there are Western powers also who are trying to destabilize India. They want to keep India under check because like the strategic autonomy, Simran, you are sharp and intelligent enough to understand that the strategic autonomy which India has been exercising post 1947 or even prior to that. Non-alignment is nothing but strategic autonomy. So even now, this strategic autonomy is not going down too well in US or in countries in Europe. Like we have not actually gone against the Russian invasion of Ukraine, not given a statement against it. We have been importing oil from Russia despite the embargo by the Western alliances. So like our dependence on the equipment, military hardware continues to be high, although it is declining. But the issue remains that here is America, which is wanting to establish a lever which it can apply and keep India under check. What is that lever? That lever is something which Ambassador, I think, Deepak had given out last time, in last to last session, that they want to create some kind of an element inimical to India's interest. Whenever it is required, they will activate that element, call it Jamaati, call it ISI, call it any other Christian elements which are coming in different form and hue, and use it, exploit it to bring down the growth story of India. This is how it is happening towards Pakistan, towards Maldives, towards Bangladesh, as also towards Myanmar. That is it. Back to you.
All right. Yeah. There you have put in perspective about how the influence of China has indeed making it difficult also for Bangladesh as well. And I'll also want to get a word from our another panelist on the broadcast, Group Captain D.K. Pandey, who has been with us long enough right now. And sir, as Sudhakar ji has explained quite particularly about what he means with the influence of China, but what I essentially want to understand from you about a different topic about the extension of stay. I believe what India is having right now to do with the options, that whether it should continue to provide the extension or not is the big issue or a big question, because there are no reports which are giving the evidence for any green signal for Sheikh Hasina to be going to UK. But at the same time, isn't it more reconciling over the deja vu movement which has happened back in 1975 when Sheikh Hasina and her sister, and when also the freedom movement has happened? So don't you think there is a similarity which is right now coming back in a full circle to Bangladesh?
The most unfortunate part is the way things have unfolded. People were not expecting, but although symptoms were visible quite clearly, and especially in last 2 months, the way things were developing in Bangladesh, and people were not reacting. The global world order was not at all affected with that. Okay, small country having some disturbance, that was the basic approach. Now the problem with us is that we are a democratic country, and we've got internal elements also, those who are keeping close eye on this. At present, we have to see the Indians which are there in Bangladesh, they should be safe, and if should there be requirement, they should be airlifted from that place or other means, so that they come to this country and they are safe. And this is the first requirement for our country, and that's why already necessary actions have been initiated by Ministry of External Affairs. Number 2 is, what are the strategic steps which China is going to take on? Because definitely China and America both are, US both are trying to get control of this small place. I'm talking small in terms of geography, because many strategic interests for these two countries is definitely connected with this location. So Americans they tried to come their place, and they wanted to use their those airports. They want to convert in the air bases so that they can launch offensive should there be requirement in Indo-Pacific or Indian Ocean region. So all those strategic questions are getting complicated. But Indians first, as I mentioned, look after our own people, those who are there. Secondly, developments, hold close eye on military elements which are going to be activated by China as well as Pakistan also, because
all right, Mr. D.K. Pandey. Now I'll request you to kindly stay on with us while we have to also get another panelist on the broadcast, where he's joining Tom Heinemann, who is an investigative journalist who have made the documentary The Micro Death on Muhammad Yunus. He found out how Yunus cheated the Bangladeshi taxpayers and siphoned off $100 million through the US-based Grameen Bank. Let's go straight across to him and begin the discussion forward. Tom, we appreciate you joining with us on the broadcast once again. We have restored the connection. I want to continue first with the question that I asked you first, and what I want to essentially understand at this given point is the evidence which of tax evasion you have collected against Muhammad Yunus through your deep investigation and the findings. Your comments, Tom.
Yes, it's sort of many years ago. Thank you for inviting me. But anyway, we found revealed documents that has never been published before, saying that Yunus was deliberately transferring money from one company to another company and quoting himself for it was due to tax reasons. But that's a long story. I think the video is online, and you feel free to link to that. Then people can see for themselves that, to my point of view, microcredit doesn't work. It's leaving the poor people in a vicious circle of debt trap. But I don't think that's what you wanted to ask me about, because what's happening right now in Bangladesh, and I'm certainly not a political expert, and don't judge me for that. But I think that this is, you have to separate the things. One thing is that the people want another government, and that's fine with me. I'm critical to Muhammad Yunus and the way he does his banking, but not necessarily the way he wants or can do his politics. He has tried it before, back in, was it 7 or 8, where he tried to form a political party. That wasn't a very big success. And I noted that in news outlets, he's saying right now that he is not interested in politics. But if he wants to be the head of the interim government, he must he must sort of be interested in politics, I think.
Tom, after your findings, as you are pointing out that the motive with which you have worked is entirely different, and of course we appreciate your great work that has been done in this field, do you really think and perceive of it as a thought that it comes of the people of the Bangladesh at this given point? The people of the Bangladesh are in current despair. Do you think after what you have exposed, the people of Bangladesh can accept a man who has siphoned off $100 million?
That's up to the people of Bangladesh to decide. What I can see and read is that this proposal about bringing Yunus into the interim government or leading the interim government is done by the student organization. And the student organization is certainly not the poor people's students. The poor people in the countryside, they still suffer from vicious microcredit companies, not only the Grameen Bank, but many, many, many others, who is, to my point of view, very harsh on interest rates, and very harsh in collecting reimbursements and whatever. If I should say something, I would stand with the poor people of Bangladesh. They don't have a voice. I gave them a voice in my film, and I hope also they will have a voice in the coming elections or whatever happens in Bangladesh future on. I'm the poor man's guy.
That's for the people of Bangladesh to decide, but currently the country lies in shambles, Tom. What about your entire time when you had been undergoing this experience of exposing the way the money has been siphoned off? Have you faced any intimidation or hostility from Mohammed Yunus or the US-based Grameen Bank after your investigation was completed or after it was made public? What were your reactions that you have got from Mohammed Yunus or even the US-based bank?
Typically speaking, when you do critical investigations of anything, you will always meet a counterattack. And the counterattacks was sort of, you know, the expression killing the messenger boy. So various organizations tried to intimidate me, saying that I'm a bad guy, I didn't represent myself as a journalist, and blah, blah, blah. All the normal counterattacks that follows an investigation like mine. So, but nothing has happened in that sense. They haven't taken me to court because they don't have a case. I was 100% solid on my proof. And besides trying to kill me as a messenger, nothing happened. And I know this. I've known this for 30 years now.
That's a relief. That's a thing for relief that nothing eventually did happen. But you did face intimidation.
Yeah. But that's part of the job. I don't mind that, honestly speaking.
Was it directly from Mohammed Yunus, or there were some agencies that were involved in behind it?
Well, he talked to the Norwegian aid agency Laureate. They have a magazine, and a month later, the program followed the program. He told the journalist at the Norwegian magazine published by the Foreign Ministry of Norway that it was the program that axed me. It was just after he was sacked from the director's office at the Grameen Bank. But I haven't heard that expression since. Maybe his media assistants and PR agents said, "Don't say that." I don't know.
Okay. So going forward,
we tried. Let me also emphasize that I traveled all over Europe to get an interview with him. I tried for many months to set up an interview with him, and he just turned my back on me. Nothing happened.
All right.
He wouldn't stand for an interview, and I had like 100 questions, and I sent them to them, and they didn't reply me.
you didn't get a reply, is what
No.
you're saying.
Basically, no.
Okay.
Except that nothing is wrong and Tom Heinemann is a dirtbag.
Tom, what do you also think of the concerns that we as observers, we as the neighboring nation with Bangladesh, can have possibly for the people of Bangladesh if Mohammed Yunus is chosen as the successor? Now that departure of Sheikh Hasina has happened, there are concerns looming over where will she now move ahead. But if Mohammed Yunus is chosen as the successor, as observers, as the people in the neighboring nation, what concerns do you think typically we must have and we would have right now?
Well, as I said initially, I'm not very deep into Bangladeshi politics, but it's a well-known fact that Mrs. Hasina and Mr. Yunus has had a long time unfriendliness against each other. So that probably also plays a part in this. I'm not sure whether I can actually comment on this because it's a little bit far away when I'm sitting in Copenhagen in Denmark and just following the news on various online medias. But it's too early for me to say what consequences. I sincerely hope for peace and restoration of the democracy in Bangladesh and every man and woman in Bangladesh deserves this. No more violence, please. It doesn't lead to anything, any good thing. So basically, that would be my comment on that.
Tom, do you also perceive or you can share some thoughts about the kind of understanding that you have of Mohammed Yunus as a person? Because you have spent extensive amount of time to put this together. We have seen how it has come out. And what, in your opinion, is the understanding of that man? Because the person who has worked there has talked to a lot of stakeholders. What is your essential first thoughts on it, if you'd like to give me a little perspective on that?
No, but I just, as I said, noticed that he said to an Indian media yesterday, I think it was, or maybe this morning, that he's not really interested in politics. So, I mean, maybe that's part of the strategy for saying that, and then the people of Bangladesh might kindly ask him to join, and maybe he says yes to that. This is not my line of business, honestly speaking. I'm very critical to his banking models about microcredit, and I will continue to be that because microcredit doesn't work as an alleviator of poverty. We have seen this in numerous studies all over the world, not only by Grameen Bank and Mohammed Yunus, but basically all microcredit finance institutions. They are ripping off the poor people with high interest rate. Higher interest rates that you wouldn't pay and I wouldn't pay, but the poor people, they have to pay that because otherwise they cannot get into the market, as they say. So,
all right, Tom.
And to my point of view, as a journalist, tracing and chasing Mohammed Yunus for so many months seems to me a bit of an arrogant way of meeting critical questions when I could see that every time he received a new medal somewhere, he stood up and received the medal or prize or whatever, but answering critical question was not in his line of business.
Before I let you go, yes.
When it comes to the future of Bangladesh, I sincerely hope for peace. I sincerely hope that the Bangladeshi people will elect their new government themselves and not be pressured or harassed by anyone else. I mean, it's a big country. There's a lot of millions of voters. They should have their say, and not anyone else.
All right, Tom.
Not India, not the US, not the GB. You know, I mean, this is up to the people of Bangladesh to decide.
Well, that continues to be a scenario which is not in the state of stability as of now. It continues to be a position of wait and watch for India as well, as the situation on the ground continues to be volatile. Thank you, Tom, for joining us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.